So for those of you who never met me, my name's Kahakai'o. I'm one of the descendants down at Ohana now, and I partner with NPS down there through Hawaii Pacific Parks Association. And so I've been working with a group of practitioners over the last couple years, and really tried to revive a lot of our cultural practices in the areas. And the National Park Service has been huge in facilitating the use of some of our sacred places. So this year we're super excited because part of our tradition of Makahiki, which, just to refresh everyone, if you haven't heard of Makahiki, it's a time of the year that was actually set aside to kind of reduce the human impact on the world. This was the tradition of my ancestors. So for centuries, they had a practice where lining up with the certain celestial signs, the star Sirius is very important. In South Kona, we call it Hikikau Lonomeha, and it will actually follow the transit of the sun during this time of year. Very important sign. If you live in Hilo, or if you read a lot of the books, they talk about the constellation Pleiades, the Makali'i, and that when the Pleiades rises at sunset, that is when they would declare Makahiki was on. But if you live in Kona, you cannot see the Pleiades at sunset because Kualalai and Mauna Loa and the island blocks the eastern horizon. So that's why we are starting to refer to the star Sirius, Hikikau Lonomeha, as our important star, because that's the sign we can see. But anyway, during Makahiki, it was a time of peace. We have an ancestor named Lono, who actually many ancestors took that name, and they were all important in their philosophies. Their philosophy kind of helped found what you see as the Hawaiian culture, the practices that were adopted. So during the Makahiki time, which started 4 months ago, there was a reduction of kapu. So for the chiefs, a lot of those strict taboo laws were actually reduced or even removed. The chiefs would come back home if they were out negotiating, doing diplomacy, doing warfare, if that was necessary during that time of year. Yeah, they would come back home and they would suspend all of those activities. For the farmers and the fishermen, this meant coming back home as well, not going out to sea to do deep sea fishing. Probably not as much long distance traveling or voyaging was going on. Yeah, everyone was focusing on their own place. Yeah, the farmers came out of the fields to let the soil kind of sit and fallow for the season. That was very important to recharge the nutrients in the earth. Yeah, give your fields a chance to rest. So next year when you start planting again, there's all that important nutrients again. So it was a practice that affected all the different areas. Yeah, the chiefs did not engage in politics. They did not engage in warfare. Yeah, that let the resources kind of recuperate, let the people recuperate. It was a return to the natural cycles. So Makahiki is a very important, very exciting time that we try to celebrate. A lot of joy. There are some games being played. So later today, I'll have some games to play, so we can check that out. But yeah, it was just generally a pretty fun time. But that time is coming to an end as the seasons progress. Yeah, Makahiki season has to end because eventually the farmers got to go back to work. They got to start planting. We cannot run out of food. The chiefs, they got to, sometimes we have to have politics. Otherwise, just the order of the world would fall apart. So the chiefs got to go back to business. Sometimes that meant more warfare, depending on what was going on. Yeah, war was an important tool of diplomacy. That was how you solve dissension and things like that amongst chiefly groups, amongst families, amongst islands. Yeah, so all those things were necessary. Yeah, the labor, you gotta build new houses, build new walls, gotta go back to fishing. Yeah, so Makahiki is coming to a close, and we've been closing here at Honokohau. I think for at least I did it. I think 3 years with a ceremony called the Ma'oloha, Koko Ma'a, which is a big net. You can see our fellow Mo'olono, Kala and Uriah are holding the Ma'oloha. So this is actually a consecrated, a sacred net, and this net was woven by hand by some descendants that live up in Hawaiian homes up here. One of the families up there actually got together and held some workshops, and yeah, they helped us weave these nets. So the Ma'oloha comes from an old legend about a net that was placed up in the heavens actually by a stingy chief. He was hoarding all his resources. Yeah? He was taking all the food and he put them up in the sky with this big net to hold it in place because he didn't want anyone else to get all the kalo and the sweet potato and all the food he had. And the people would have starved if it wasn't for this rat. This little rat climbed up a coconut tree, climbed all the way into the sky, and he started chewing on the net. And as all the eyes of the net started to break open, the food would sort of fall down to the ground like rain. And all this food came down and the people were able to be prosperous again. That was the abridged version. But thankfully for that story, we know that the people were able to sustain themselves. So taking that inspiration, the Koko Ma'a the Ma'oloha ceremony, was designed where we take all of our ho'okupu, our food offerings. This year we have kalo, we have sweet potato, we have breadfruit, there's some red fish. Red fish is very important. What else is in there? We have some llama, pieces from the llama tree, we have coconut, we have bananas, and we have pork. So all the important foods have been collected and wrapped into little bundles of ho'okupu, and they're going to go inside this net. And our mo'olono, and I'll ask for some volunteers, however many people want to come in to help carry this net. And they're actually going to pull the net out and they're going to shake it. And the idea is that all the food will fall out of the net. So we've carefully designed this ritual with kupu that are smaller than the eyes of the net. So we want those good omens of the food falling through. So it's a carefully engineered ceremony that you guys will be able to help us participate in. This is the part we've done for, at least 3 years for myself down here at Ohana Day. But the next part is really exciting this year. Following the Koko Ma'a Ikalani, there was then a ceremony where those offerings were gathered and placed inside a canoe. And the last time this happened on this island was in 1819. And that was when Liho was before Kamehameha died. And Liho was the officiating priest. That's Kamehameha II. So he would have been like 13 years old around this time. But he was the officiating priest for the Makahiki ceremonies at Hikiau. And so what they did was they constructed a giant canoe, they took all the food, they put it inside the canoe, and then the canoe gets taken out to sea, out to the currents that lead back to Kahiki, the ancestral homelands. This year we have not a giant canoe, we have a small canoe over on our mat there. That again, a handful of practitioners carved this year. It's a rough cut canoe. The wood for that canoe is monkey pod, which is an introduced species. However, that monkey pod was growing on top of Kaloko-Honokohau NHP, which is in Kaloko-Honokohau. It's the top of the cliff where everyone parks their car to walk down to watch, to go and see James Cook's memorial down there. So near the top, there was actually a sacred grove where the trees in that grove were used for carving ki'i, or sacred images. So we went back to the source of those sacred images and found a monkey pod tree there that we got access to. We were able to cut it down. And we actually made 3 of these canoes and were able to conduct this ceremony in 3 different locations, 3 different times. Twice at Ohana now with our 4th graders from the island. So that was really exciting this year, actually, bringing back a tradition that, at least in our district, we haven't seen for over almost 200 years. It's 2017 now, so 1819 was the last time. So exciting stuff. What else should I say? So this year we're gonna take our kupu, we're gonna load it in our miniature canoe, and then hopefully with all the good signs permitting, we'll be able to take this canoe out and release it into the ocean today. Anyway, enough talking. Anybody want to help shake our net? We're gonna get all that food out of the net. So if anyone wants to step forward, we'll we're gonna stay close right now. Everyone come in close. And the cue is I'm gonna step back, raise my fist, and I'm gonna yell, "Hey, who?" And when I do that, lift up the net, pull it back, and just shake it. want everything to go flying out of it, well, falling through, preferably. Yeah. Sound good to everyone? Yeah. Oh wow, thank you for your help. Hello! Hey! Alright. Now that we've made a big mess, we gather it all and we'll put it in the canoe. If there's any loose wood, let's try and grab some buckets and see. Mahalo, everyone. That's our va'auhau.